When it comes to finding contacts, it's very simplistic, especially when you use the instant search field. So for example, let's say that I want to find Carrie. I know she's right there, but let's pretend we had hundreds of contacts and I don't want to play Where's Waldo to scroll through all these to find Carrie. So instead, I can come up here in the instant search box, click in there, and then type in her name, as much information about her that I have. And so it brings up not only Carrie, and it's highlighted because it's in the name and how it's being filed as, but also with Mr. Fife. Why? Because when you double click, if it's anywhere within the contact, not just the name or how it's being filed, it pulls it up, and there you go, in the notes, Carrie. Let's go ahead and close out, go ahead and open it up, make your changes, save it, and then let's go ahead and do something a bit more. Let's come up here and click in the search box so we can bring up its related contextual search tab, because on here we can change the scope of our search. We can include all the Outlook items, not just the contacts. Like, let's go ahead and select it and see what it brings up. Oh, that's a bevy of a find. Well, Carrie can be found in 3 different appointments or meetings, and it's grouped by calendar, by contacts. She's found in my inbox 5 times, and also journal, sent items, and it just goes on. And also as a task. Let's go ahead and scroll back up. You can double click to open it up, make your changes, and save it. So that's how that works. And you can also refine your search, like by category. You can see we've got the spooky category. So click on categorize and say Carrie, who is tied to our spooky category. And right there. Great. You can also go ahead and click on the X to begin all over again. Click back in and type in Carrie, and then come back up here. And let's go to all Outlook items. And let's go ahead and find, well, she sent me something. It was an attachment. Let me go ahead and click on the paperclip and refine it so I don't get anything else but those that have paper clips. Great. Now let me go ahead and close out of here. And over here in my personal contacts, I want to look for Henrietta, or Henry, last name Etta. And I'm in the contacts folder. When I come up here and I type in Henry, it's only searching in that folder. But if I want to include all the contacts, all the different folders that I have, back up here on the related contextual search tab, over in the scope, we're looking at all contact items. So all the contact folders that I have, from the default contacts to personal to partay. Click on all contact items and give it a second. There you go. There's Henrietta. Great, because that's so annoying if you have like 20 or 30 of these different contact folders and you have to select on the right one to do a search within that folder to find the contact that you're looking for. That could take forever, but not with the search that we just went over. To edit any of your contacts, well, first of all, you need to open it up, like Carrie, double click. And then if I want to make any changes, delete the text, add some text, like for example, the display as field. That's going to appear when I create a new email message and I click on the to button and I search the address book for the person. It'll display it as the email address. If I want the name to be displayed there, well, let me show you. Okay, so it's kheffernan@videotrainingpro.com. Let me go back to the program here, Outlook, to the mail folder, come over here, double click to create a new email message. When I click on the to field, and I'm looking in the contacts address book, the folder, down below, you see the display name. It's not displaying the name, it's displaying the email address. If you want to change that, here's how you do it. Let's go ahead and click cancel. Go back down below, click on contact, and then delete that, and then type in her name, hit the tab key, be sure to save our work. Well, let me just click save. And then we go back to our email message, click on the to field, and then down below, do you see kheffernan@videotrainingpro.com? No. Great. So there's one of the places that we can look to have it display the name and not the email address. And these others, they display the name and the email address, so you can go ahead and do that as well. But let's go ahead and click cancel and close out of here. Come back. And as we talked about in an earlier training video, albeit briefly, when you want to add a picture, you go ahead and click on it if there's no picture there. But since I already have a picture of Carrie, you can right-click and get the options to change the picture. Choose another picture, click cancel, right-click to copy the picture or remove the picture. But I want to go ahead and add the picture back in, so let me click on it, browse to the desktop. In the exercises folder, double-click, and there she is, double-click, and there's the picture. Now, not only can you have pictures as the profile here, but also in the notes section, let me hit enter. We can add pictures there, one of a couple of ways. You can either come up here, click on the Insert tab in the Illustrations group, do an online picture and or pictures that are on your computer. Let's go ahead and do an online picture first. Click on it. And since we're doing ghost investigations, let's type in, because we only look for happy ghosts. If they're spooky, no way, we're out of there. Hit enter on the keyboard, and let's go ahead and scroll down. There's our happy guy. Oh, he's so happy. Select him, and then click on insert. Give it a second. Oh, he's huge. To resize him, let's do it from the upper left-hand corner resizing handle, that circle. You got resizing handles all the way around it. So, well, you could scroll down and over to the right to get the bottom right-hand corner resizing handle. Hover over it until you can see arrows pointing in opposite directions, then click and drag and push him in so he's smaller. And there you go. We got a picture there. When I'm done, I can go ahead and come back up on the Contact tab, click Save and Close, and let me go back to the two dudes, the Contacts folder, and then you can see right there that Carrie has a paperclip there. The reason why the paperclip is there is because I have a picture in the notes section. So that lets you know that you got some item, and in this case a picture, or it could be like an email message you can insert there. Let me double click. And in fact, you can come down here, hit enter a couple of times, come up, click on the Insert tab, and you can attach a file and it will show the paperclip or an Outlook item. Click on it. From the inbox, you can choose another email message, maybe an earlier one that she talked about that you want to keep track of. And we'll cover that in a later training video. But what's happening is once you've got something here besides text, it's going to show it as a paperclip. And then when you select the image, of course, you get the related contextual tab for that image if you want to choose a picture style for our Georgie Porgy the Ghost, or picture border, picture effects. When it comes to formatting your pictures, I go to it in greater detail in Microsoft Word, because it's the same steps here when it comes to your picture styles, adjusting, color corrections, removing the background, and so on, as well as changing the size if you want to get more particular and do it numerically as opposed to freehand by clicking and dragging the resizing handles. And as a heads up, you see that little layout option, that tag, layout options there that you can click on. Well, I cover this in Microsoft Word as well, because what you're dealing with here is just a mini Word document, a blank page that you can type in text and insert images and pictures and things like that. And so you can go ahead and hover over one of these and say that you want the ghost in front of the text, click on it. So that way you can click and drag and move them and put them right, well, as close as you want and not have to be defined by an actual line for the image to sit on. So there you go. Works good, right? Okay. In any case, you can watch my word training video on picture layout options. A lot of the stuff I didn't want to recreate in Outlook, otherwise, gosh, that would be hours more that I've already done in Microsoft Word. And then finally, up here on the Contact tab in the Show group, you got another screen that you can go to, the Details screen. Select it, updates it, and there you go. Some details you can add, like what department this person's in, the office, profession, nickname, spouse, Doug, the birth date. Well, you can go ahead and delete that, click on the date picker, but when it starts with today's date and you want to go back to 1960 or 70, oh, that's a lot to click and click forever. Instead, go ahead and click in here, delete it, and then type in /5/75. Hit the tab key, updates it, and you also get the day. It was Saturday on April 5th, 1975, anniversary date, and the internet address. In any case, when you want to go back to the main view, which is known as the general view, then come back here to the show group, click on general, be sure to save your work. And then notice after I did that, because I actually had the image now in line with the text, the layout option, it removes the paperclip. So if I go ahead and double click back on it, and I select it, and I click on the layout option, and I go in line with text, let me click and drag it below, and you can see that line. I've got some lines there that I could drop the image into, and so now it's got to have its own line, just like the lines up here. The text have to have their own lines. And so that's what it means in line with text. Let me click off, click save and close, and we're back to the paperclip. So if you get confused about that, and you're like, hey, he said it was supposed to appear as an attachment. Well, it is if you're not messing with the layout option and choosing something else other than the default in line with text. To print off the contacts, you can do it one of a couple of ways. You can either do them individually, or you can do it like the current view is in the phone list, the entire phone list. So let's do it individually. Double click on Carry, then come up here, click on the File tab, go Backstage, and go down to Print. And there you go. You get a print preview. What you see here is what's going to be coming out of your printer. Click on it to zoom in to get the full page view, the actual size when it comes out of your printer. And then down below you've got the box if you have more than one page and you want to jump to page like 5 out of 10. Just come in here, type in 5, hit enter, and it'll take you right to page 5. And then over to the right hand side you have the actual size, which is the same size as the zoom in. And then you can go ahead and do the one page so you get an overall view of it. And if you have more than one page and you want to take a look at those additional pages, it'll have to cram them in here when you choose multiple pages. So if you had 3, you'd have 1, 2, 3 thumbnails here of those pages. So you can get a brief look of what's going to be printing, which leads up to the print options. Go ahead and click on that. Instead of printing all the pages, if you have more than one, take note from down below, because the default is all. It says, look, if you just want to print pages 3 or 5 through 12 or a combination, like let's say we want to print pages 2, 5, 6 through 12. There you go. So only pages 2, 5, and 6 through 12. And you can print attached files by checking the box, and you can change the number of copies if you want additional copies. And then if you want, after you made the changes here, click on Preview to update the preview window, because what you see here is what's going to be coming out of your printer. So if you chose certain pages and you had a total of 20 and you only chose 3, you should only see 3 down below here. Now you can do it that way if you want to print off based upon one contact in the memo style. Let's go ahead and hit back and close out. Or if you want to print the entire view here, which is the phone view, then just leave it in this view. Come up here, click on the File tab, go Backstage, go down to Print, and well, there's the memo style. Because I had Carry selected, I still get that option. But if I want to do the table style, the phone view, there you go. Click on it to zoom in. It's got everybody. And we got a second page because it couldn't squeeze all those columns. Let me go back. You see the columns here? Well, you've got more. As you scroll over to the right, and if you're like, oh, rats, I just want to print one page, and I'd like to include their email, you can, of course, click and drag and move these over. There's the email. I think it'll fit to be included in that first page. And then, of course, you can go ahead and click on File to print. But if you want to include just selected contacts within the print, either under the memo or as the table style, then I got Carry selected. Hold down the Control key and click on a few others. So I have a total of 3. Then go Backstage, click on File, go down to Print. And the memo style, well, because there's multiple items that are selected, it's going to take a few moments to preview it. Come on, preview, preview. There we go. We have a total of 3 that we have selected that's going to come out memo style. All 3. And like I said, you can come down here and type in 1, hit enter, jumps right to page 1. Then for the table style, well, it includes everybody here unless when you come to the print options, let me click on it, you say that you want only selected rows. Then click on Preview and click on it to zoom in, only these 3. Go back to print options, and again, you can choose to print all the pages or just certain pages. And then, of course, when you're done, make sure you do a preview of it to see. Over here, it's what you want, because what you see in the print preview is what's going to be coming out of your printer. So make sure it looks all grizzly. And then go ahead, when you're done, click on the big P, the print. The calendar is more than just a calendar for you to look at to keep track of upcoming or previous dates in days, months, or years. You can also keep track of and schedule appointments, events, and meetings. So to go to the calendar, just come down below in the navigation pane. You can see when I hover over it, you get the hover peak, as we talked about in an earlier training video. That way I don't have to go to the calendar if I want to find out what today's date is. You can see right there in the block of blue, it's the 5th of March. And then down below, if I have anything scheduled in the next 7 days, it would be listed here. And it doesn't, so party on. Let's go ahead and go to the calendar. And in the folder pane, by default, you get one calendar. If you want additional calendars, you have to create additional folders for this view, as we talked about in an earlier training video. And so up here, we're going to talk about the Date Navigator. That allows me to choose any date, well, for the month of March. And you can see it's the same block of blue representative of today's date, March the 5th. So if I select the 14th, you can see it's a different highlight, a lighter shade than the darker shade of blue. So when I select the 14th, it updates the main view over to the right, which you can see by default up here on the Home tab in the Arrange group. It's highlighted, it's by day, as opposed to the others that we'll talk about in just a minute, like the work week, the week, and the month. And back over in the Date Navigator, if you see a date that's in bold, and I do right there the 28th, that means a meeting or an appointment has been scheduled on that date. Go ahead and select it, and then come over here to the main view and scroll down, and hey, it was the company potluck party. Oh, that was so yummy. Hover over it, and you can see in the pop-up, it's got the start and end dates and times. Let's try another. Well, the 9th and 10th are in bold, so select the 9th, and it was ghost hunting. Oh, that was spooky. And so the only time that these dates won't be bold anymore is if you delete and clear out all appointments and meetings for that day. And it's a flag to let you know that something's coming up. Now, of course, these are past appointments and meetings, and it will be there until you delete them. So that way, it's nice to know if you forgot what you did that day, that you can always go back and say, oh yeah, it was ghost hunting. Now, if you want to go ahead and navigate from one month to the next, you've got the arrows to go to the future and to the past. Or you can click and hold down the left mouse button on the month and year. And when you do that, you can advance by 1, 2, up to 3 months, all the way out to June. Oh, that's going to be nice and warm. And then to get back to today's date, instead of clicking and going back, you can just come up here on the Home tab to the Go To group. And there you go, today. And we're back. Now, if you want more than 1 month, just the current month, you can hover over the split bar down below until you can see arrows pointing up and down. Then just click and pull down, and I get the next month. So I've got 2 months to click around in. Now, my screen resolution is a squishy 1024 by 768. Yours is probably a lot larger, so you can go ahead and continue to click and drag down. You'll probably get 3, 4, 5 or more months. And so I can click over here and go to April the 13th and come back to the 7th, to the current month. In any case, let me go back to today, and then I'm going to hover over that split bar and push it back up and just focus on 1 month at a time here. Now, over in the main view, again, the default for the main view, as you can see, that's highlighted there is by day. And you can see it's March the 5th. So if you want to advance over here, you can do it day by day because, hey, that's how we take it, is day by day, right? And if you want to do it by month, then, well, there's the Date Navigator. And then down below, you can see you've got the increments by hours. So from 2 o'clock to 3 to 4, 5, and so on. And then what's broken up in between those times, you can see over to the right, you got a dash line. So if you look at this 2 o'clock, that's that line right there. And then the dots here is the half hours. So that'd be 2:30, then 3, 3:30, then 4, and so on. And oh, by the way, you see that thin blue line right there? That represents the current time. So if you look down below at the clock, it's 6:14. And so it's a little past 6, but not quite at the halfway mark, 6:30. It's kind of like the sundial. Instead of looking for a shadow, you're looking at the lines when it comes to scheduling, and you're not focused on what time it is. You're like, oh, yeah, we got to have a meeting. Let me schedule it at 6. And it's like, oh, well, I can't schedule it at 6 because that line represents the current time is past 6. And this line will only show up on the current date. And then you'll notice that from 5 o'clock on, it's a light shade of gray. And then above that, it's all clear, white. And then above, just prior to 8 a.m. up to midnight, it's all in a lighter shade of gray. And the reason for that is that the default working times that Outlook has set up is from 8 to 5. And if that's not your default working hours, as well as you don't want the increments here to be in half hours, you want them every 10 minutes, don't worry about that. I'll talk about that in a later training video and how you can customize all that so it fits your working day with your working times, as well as the increments. And by the way, when you want to schedule an appointment, you can schedule it in the shaded area. It doesn't matter. Outlook doesn't care. It won't flag you or anything. The only flag that it'll give you is that, hey, these are your non-working hours. So if you want to schedule, go ahead. It's up to you. Just wants to let you know that, again, these aren't your typical working hours. And then you have over to the left, you have previous appointments. So whatever appointment you had before, if it was yesterday, 2 days ago, 3 days ago, whatever's the next previous appointment, when you click on it, it'll jump right to it. And then, of course, the next appointment, if it's tomorrow, it'll jump right to that. Or if it's 3 days out, it'll jump right to that. Or whatever the next appointment is, 2, 3, or 4 days out. And then when it comes to navigating within the day view here, you can do it a couple of ways. You can either come over here and click and drag the scrolly bar up and down, or you can go ahead and click the up arrow or the down arrow, or You can right click anywhere here, including the arrows. And when I right click like right here, you get the options where you can scroll here. When you click that, it'll actually scroll down to wherever here was when you right clicked. And then let's go ahead and right click here. You can find out what the top is, and that's within the current view. So it went from the bottom to the top. And then if I right click, go to the bottom, goes to the bottom of the current view. The scroll bar goes down to midnight here. Then right click, you can page up, page down. You can use the keys on the keyboard as well. Page up, and then right click. And then scroll up, scroll down is the same as clicking on these little arrows here. It's in small increments here of a half hour. And if you have a time slot selected, you can go ahead and use the up and down arrow keys. You can also hit the home key, takes you to the start of the working day, which is 8 a.m., the default. The end key, END, takes you to the end of the working day, which is 5 p.m. Control End takes you to the end of the day. Control Home takes you to the beginning of the day. One other thing that I want to go over here, come up here, click on the View tab, go to the Layout group, and click on Daily Task List. What this does is if you have tasks that are due that day, let me go ahead and click on Normal. It'll show it down below. You see where it says Show Tasks on Due Date. So today's date, March the 5th. If I have a task that's due on that day, when I get to the day, it would show it there, the start date, the due date, reminder. It will also show any tasks that are past due. So if you've got like 30 tasks past due that were due yesterday, 2 days ago, 3 months ago, that'll be listed here, including those that are due today. So if I don't have any that are past due, and I go to tomorrow, and I have a task due that day, it would be listed there. Of course, you can click on this to minimize it, and it'll show the tasks that are due that day, active tasks, completed tasks. Let's go ahead and restore that. You can also click down below. You get the cursor flashing. You can type in a quick task for that date. In any case, let's go ahead and turn this off. Come back up here, click on the View tab. To the Layout group, click on Daily Task List to Off. And let's come up here and go to the next view, which is the work week. And the work week, the default for Outlook is Monday through Friday. If yours isn't Monday through Friday, it's maybe Tuesday through Saturday. That's okay. Later training video, I'll show you how you can customize that. Again, it's got the default working hours, 8 to 5. So if I go ahead and scroll above that, it's in a light shade of gray, and it's in half-hour increments. We can change that as well. And then, of course, down below, and there you go. You got the current time, at least for the work week here, because that's got today's date. Let me go ahead and scroll back up. And if you want to keep track of today's weather, you can click on the drop-down arrow and add a location. And let's type in the zip code 84121, hit enter, and it says, okay, Salt Lake City. Gotcha. Select it. Oh, it's a freezing 33 degrees. All right, well, if you don't want to see that anymore because that's just not lifting your spirits, then go ahead and click on the X, and it clears it out, goes back to the default Washington, D.C. You also have the instant search field. If you click in there, you get the related contextual search tab. So if you want to search your calendar for appointments or meetings, go ahead and type what you're looking for in there, the keywords. As we talked about when it came to searching for messages, you basically have some of the same features and options. Like if you have an attachment tied to it, or if you just want to search for all Outlook items, you can do it within the calendar here. Let me go ahead and hit the escape key to get back out. So there's the work week, Monday through Friday, and then you have the regular week, which includes all the days, Sunday through Saturday, and you can see the current date that's highlighted, Monday here. And then you got the non-working times, which includes Sunday and Saturday, and the white area here are the working hours, again, Monday through Friday. You can see the current time here. Over here in the Date Navigator, you can see the entire week selected. And if we went back to work week, it would just be the default, Monday through Friday. Let's go to the next one, month. And you can see that today's date, you got the light shade of green there. And over in the Date Navigator, well, I'd say the entire month selected, but it can't deselect here. It's not programmed to deselect the previous month, so it includes that in the week. And that starts the month of March. Now, if you come over here and you select a day, it'll actually put it in write mode, so you can actually type in an appointment for that day. You see the cursor flashing there, so you can click on the X if you didn't mean to do that. You just want to actually select a day. Instead, you can come over here and do it in the Date Navigator, but hey, you can do it here as well. Just click on the X so it doesn't think you're trying to write in an appointment there. And of course, you can go ahead and use the scrolly bar. You can see when I click and drag, it's got the date out. So that's March 11th, 18th, 1st, It's going week by week, so I go down to April the 8th. Of course, you do have the arrows up above, so you can go back to April, go forward to May. And when you come over here, of course, you can also right-click and get the options that we saw in the day view. Scroll here, top, bottom, and so on. And then outside of the Arrange group, we've got the Go To, which is the next 7 days. If you click on that, it shows the next 7 days in the calendar. So today's date, Monday, and the next 7 days, including the current date. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then let's go back to the month. You have the expandable dialog box button of the Go To group. Then when you click on it, you can actually click on the drop-down arrow and use the date picker here to, well, including going to today. But if you really want to go far out, you don't want to keep clicking next, then go ahead and delete what's in there, and you can type in 4/5/2020, and then go ahead and hit the tab key, and it tells you the day, which is a Sunday on April the 5th, 2020. And then if you want to see this in the month calendar view, click OK, and it jumps right to it. And it's got it highlighted. Now let's go back to today's date. And then finally, a nice little fun thing that you can do to your calendar is that you can right-click anywhere on the calendar and go down to color and choose a fancy color. I'm going to choose the Embarrassed Light Red. Select that, updates it. Oh, isn't that fun? Although we're not keeping a theme here in the month of St. Patrick's Day with green. So right-click anywhere, change the color, be moody like me, and I'm going to go back to green. There we go. Top of the morning to you. Toity, toity, toy. One of the nice features about the calendar is that you can schedule and keep track of your appointments. And I want to schedule an appointment with Mr. Humphreys, a lunch that is. Let's see, today's date is March the 6th, as indicated by that thin green line. And I want to do it just before St. Patty's Day, so I'm going to do it Friday, March the 16th. To schedule the appointment, I can do it one of many ways. I can either come up here on the Home tab to the New group and click on New Appointment. And up at the top on the tab it says Appointment. And then type in the subject, location. And if you don't type in a location, that's okay. It's not going to freak out. And then down below, the start and end dates and times, well, the default is today's day. I can go ahead and click on the date picker and choose Friday, March the 16th. But let's go ahead and close out of here because there's more than one way to schedule an appointment. Another way is to go ahead and hold down the Control key and hit the N key as in new, and that'll create a new appointment. Or you can also double click really fast on the day that you want to create that appointment. If I double click on it really fast, notice up here at the top, it's not an appointment, it's an event. What's an event? Well, it's checked right here. It's an all-day thing. And I don't want to have an all-day lunch. That's too much. And so if you just go ahead and uncheck it, it opens up the time slots so you can choose the time. So it's not an all-day thing. And it goes from an event to an appointment. So it's a shortcut in a manner of speaking. I mean, once it opens up, you have to uncheck it so you can go to the appointment part, not an all-day event. And we'll talk about an all-day event in a later training video. So there you go. You can do it that way. Close out. I'm not going to save it. If you click on it in the month view and the cursor's flashing on that day, don't type in anything because that's a shortcut for creating an event. And we don't want to do that. So to get back out of it, just click on the X, or you can hit the escape key to come back out of it. And then finally, you can right-click on the day, and just so many ways to create appointments. Just crazy. You can also, well, there's an all-day event, but we want a new appointment. Left-click on it, and here we go. The subject is going to be a lunch with Mr. Humphreys. The location, you don't have to type in a location. That's all right. I will. It's going to be the roof, and you can type in an address, whatever fits your description of a location. And the roof is a tasty all-you-can-eat buffet. And then we've got our start and end dates and times. So it's going to be the same day. And then for the start time, it's not going to be early in the morning. It's going to be a lunch. So I can go ahead and scroll down and choose 12 p.m. And then the end time for the same day, you can see it's in half-hour increments. So if I go to 12:30, that's 30 minutes out from the start time. An hour out is going to be 1 p.m. If I chose 1 p.m. and I'm like, I'm very particular. It's going to be 1:01. How do you change that? click in there so you can see the cursor flashing in the field. Hit the delete key, type in 1, hit enter, and there you go. My lunch is now 1 hour and 1 minute long. Hey, that's just the way I roll. And technically, you could say, well, it's going to end, not on this date, it's going to end, let's see, Saturday the 17th. So if you do that, what you're saying is that I'm going to start eating Friday at noon and continue throughout to midnight and up to Saturday morning until the afternoon at 1:01 p.m. Oh, that's just crazy. Let's go ahead and change it back to the 16th so we can keep it on the same day just for an hour and 1 minute. And then down below you've got the notes field where you can go ahead and type in a note that's pertinent to the meeting. Be sure to bring my members card for a discount. Now, not only can you type in notes, but you can also come up here and click on the Insert tab and attach a file, Outlook item like an email message, a task, a card, well, there's a business card. You can also insert a table, pictures, online picture, shapes, smart art. You can do a lot of things down below. But I'm going to keep it simple there. You can also format the text, select the text, and we got to focus on the discount. And then go back to the appointment here. And then finally over here in the options group, you can have a reminder. Now 15 minutes right before I have the meeting is not much of a reminder. And how's that reminder going to work? Well, it's going to have a pop-up window that's going to go bong if you have your speakers turned on so you can hear it. And I'm not going to do 15 minutes because by then it's too late. I may be so involved into something, I'm like, oh, 15 minutes, it doesn't give me the time to drive there. So you can go ahead and choose some other time or just none if you don't want that pop-up. And you can go out to 2 weeks out, or if you want to change that, again, click in the field and you can do 3 weeks out and hit enter. And so let me show you what it looks like because this is the 16th and today's the 6th. So since it's only a few weeks, not 3 weeks out, well, less than 2 weeks, then I should get a pop-up when I click save and close. Wait for it. There you go, you get the bong, and well, we got 9 days before we've got this lunch. Now keep in mind, you got to have Outlook open to get this pop-up, so if you have it closed, you're not going to get it until you open it back up. So it's a good idea that if you want reminders, you minimize, if you don't want Outlook opened up or in the way, minimize Outlook down to the taskbar, do your work, and it will actually give you the pop-up right in front of you here, so that way you can't miss it. And then you can go back to Restore Outlook and, oh, where's my pop-up? Let me go ahead and click on that button to bring up its corresponding window. And you can see the details there. And then down below, if you're like, oh, yeah, I know about that. Can you remind me in about 15 minutes or a half hour, hit the snooze button, and then it'll pop up again. Or you can go ahead and dismiss it, in which case it clears the reminder. Or you can dismiss all, meaning that if you have more than one reminder for today, not just with Mr. Humphreys, but other Outlook items that have reminders or follow-ups, you can dismiss them all. So let's go ahead and dismiss that one, and away it goes. And so you can see it's right there. If you want to edit it, you can double-click on it to open it up. And you can see the reminder is set to none because I dismissed it, so I had to clear it out. So we didn't keep getting that annoying bong pop-up. So you can go ahead and make any changes you want in case if you need to reschedule. Go ahead and click and choose a different day. Maybe it's going to be the 23rd. In any case, I'll go ahead and click off. And then when you're done, go ahead and be sure to save your work, save and close out of it. You can also delete it. Let me click save and close. Another way to go ahead and reschedule is you can actually click on it and drag it. And it's automatically rescheduled. Double click, open it up, and now it's the 23rd. Let me go ahead and close out, and I'll go back to the 16th. You can also, hover over it and get the pop-up there. You can right-click on it and do a quick print, and some of the other options even categorize it. I'm going to go ahead and click off, and let's see what it looks like in the other views. Come up here, click on the View tab, and look at it by day. There's Lunch with Mr. Humphreys. And you can also do it here. If you want to move it around, you can click and drag him and say, okay, let's do it from 11 to 12. Now, is that going to be 12 or 12:01? Let's hover off, hover back over it, and let's double click. And 12:01, of course, you saw it in the pop-up, but I was just eager to double click on it. In any case, you can also hover over the bottom. Well, that's the resizing handle. So if you want to go down and extend the lunch from 11 to, that's 12:01, but click and drop it down. And then hover off, hover back over it. You can see in the pop-up it's now 12:30. So that little one increment for that extra minute, it's now gone. So I'm going to go ahead and click and drag that back up and pull this back down. and do it again from 12 to 1. Of course, it's not going to remember the 01, but you know how to fix it. Just double click and type in that extra minute there in the end time field or in the start time, just however you want to customize it. And then notice over here in the date navigator, now you can see it's in bold on the 16th. That means I got an appointment or meeting scheduled that day. So when I want to schedule other appointments or meetings, I'm looking for a free date, I can quickly glance here and go, well, I've got something on that day. I don't know what time until I actually select it and then go, oh yeah, it's from 12 to 1. Groovy. So that's for the day, work week. And you can see in there, that's how it looks in the work week, then the week, right there. And then of course, we're back to the month. Finally, remember when you click inside and you get the cursor flashing, you type in what you think is an appointment, that would be an event, right? You hit enter, there you go. When you double click on it, it's checked, all day event, and it's an event, right? Okay. So what would happen with it selected, let me go ahead and hit the delete key and get rid of it. If we go back to the week and I double click on a day there, is it an appointment or an event? Well, in the other views, it's going to be an appointment. So you can do it that way, as well as in the work week and in the day. And also, if you actually just want to highlight a time slot and then just start typing, that's going to be the name of your appointment after you hit enter to accept it. And you can see that that's for that time. And that makes sense because it's at a time. I didn't select the entire day. So it's not going to be an all-day event. So when you double click, you can see it's an appointment for the time slot that I had selected. And then, well, let me go ahead and just, since I'm here, delete it, and it's gone. To schedule an appointment that will be recurring every day, every other day, week, month, or year, just schedule a normal appointment, and before you save it, select the recurring feature. So for example, my homies and I, we want to do ghost hunting every Friday night, beginning on March the 23rd. Double click on it. Now, as you recall, that when you double click in the calendar view, it creates an event. So to convert that to an appointment, let's come down below and uncheck all day event, and it's now an appointment. So we get our times. Let's go ahead and type in the subject. It's going to be ghost hunting. And then from this point forward, when it comes to creating that recurring appointment, you just need to come over here to the options group and click on it right there, recurrence. Schedule this item to repeat on a regular basis. Click on it. Going from top to bottom, first of all, when do you want to start? And ghosts aren't awake at 8 a.m. They go to bed. Let's go ahead and click on the drop-down arrow, and you can either type it in if you got your cursor flashing in there, the time, including the AM or PM, or do what I'm doing. Scroll down to, let's do 6 p.m. when we can start setting our equipment up. And then the end time, click on the drop-down arrow. From the start time, from 6 to 6:30, is going to be 30 minutes, or in 30-minute increments to an hour, and so on. Or if you want to get more particular, you can just type in 6:31. In any case, I'm going to go back to 6:30 and a half hour. That's not a ghost investigation. But if you do know the duration of how long you want to spend there, you don't want to mess with the times that we're supposed to end. Let's go ahead and click on the duration and go down and choose a half a day, 12 hours. Select it, updates the end time from the start time, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. the next day. Once you got your time set up, then just come down below and select the recurrence pattern. It can be daily. So it could be every day or every other day by choosing every 2 days, or you can just do every weekday, exclude the weekends. Oh, that'd be nice. Have my weekends off. And you can do it weekly, where you can occur every week on a Friday, or every 2 weeks on a Friday and a Saturday. You can check as many days as you want to include. I'm going to go ahead and uncheck that and go back to 1. Or you can do it monthly on the 23rd day of every month or every 2 months, or the 25th day, or you can do the 4th, you get the other options, 2nd, 3rd, 1st, and last Friday or Wednesday, Thursday of every month or every other month, so you type in 2 for every other month. Or you can do it yearly, so you can have it recur every year or every 2 years or 3 years on March the 23rd. Of course, you can change that on the 4th Friday of March or choose another month. I'm going to go back to doing it weekly, as I mentioned, every Friday. And then down below, when do you want to start? So it just happens to have it selected on the date that I want to start, Friday, March the 23rd. And if it was some day prior to it, earlier, like the 20th, well, it's not going to schedule an appointment because it's targeted for Fridays. So from ticking forward, Tuesday, The next Friday, the earliest Friday that comes after the selected Tuesday is going to be the 23rd. So it'll start scheduling that recurring meeting beginning on the 23rd. So if you feel more comfortable like I do, I'd rather select the 23rd so I can see it right there in the window. But Outlook will figure it out if you're not going back prior to the other Friday or on that Friday. Otherwise, it'll schedule it for Friday the 16th. And then it says, well, from that start date, there's no end date. Oh, that's horrible. Ghost hunting every Friday night for the rest of my life. So how about after how many occurrences? 10? Well, if I select that, then I click on the drop-down arrow. See, starting on the 23rd, that would be 1, 2, 3, 6 is 3, and then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So May the 25th. Okay. Or you can end it by, click on the drop-down arrow and choose a date like, hey, school gets out for the kiddies on June the 8th, and I want to spend time with them, so that's what we're going to do. Now watch what happens after I select when to end by. If I want to know how many occurrences that is, then select end after, and it updates it, and it says from the start date to what you had selected, it's going to be 12 times that you have your ghost hunting appointment. I'm going to come in here and type in 4, and if everything looks grisly, let's go ahead and click OK. And then some things update. You don't get the dates or the times because it's a recurring meeting. If you want to change it, then of course you have to come up here, click on recurrence, change it here, click OK, or actually remove it. If you just want it to happen one day or across some consecutive days, let me just go ahead and click cancel. And you can see the reoccurrence here occurs every Friday effective March the 23rd until April the 13th from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. So from Friday night to Saturday morning. Now you can go ahead and have reminders, but ghost hunting, that's so fun. I don't need reminders. I mean, boy, I look forward to it. So I'm going to go ahead and select none and then click save and close. And hey, there we go. Now let's go ahead and scroll down just a bit so we can see it. Our 4 recurrence begins the 23rd. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you can see it begins 6 p.m. Friday night on all the Fridays. And you can see it's got 12 a.m. on Saturday because, well, Saturday starts at 12 a.m. and so it continues until 6 a.m. So don't let that throw you. That just means that it continues on from this point to 12 a.m. on Saturday. Because if it said 6 a.m., that'd be a little bit confusing. Let's see, 6 p.m. we go, and then 6 a.m. we go again. No, it continues from 6 p.m. and carries over to right Saturday morning at 12 a.m. bright and early. No breaks, and of course you can hover over it and get the details there, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. with no reminders. Now let's go ahead and see what it looks like in these other views, like let's do the week or work week, it doesn't matter. And for the work week, remember, the default working times are from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Now we're not going to see it here, at least as you recall, the default working hours are from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And so these are non-working hours where we have ghost hunting going on. So it's Friday the 13th. Well, that's a spooky day to do ghost hunting. And there it is. And you see down below that little circle there, 2 arrows turning in on themselves. And you can see it also right there in the pop-up. That's the symbol for a recurring appointment that occurs over and over and over again. And you can see over here in the date navigator, it's the work week. It's Monday through Friday. It's not going to include the Saturday. But you can see in bold that we have those appointments scheduled. For Friday, carries over to the 14th. That's our last occurrence in our series of ghost hunting, where it began back on the 23rd. Let's go back to the 23rd. This is the week, and it's right there. And then let's come back up here, click on day, and the 19th is selected. So if I want to see it on the 23rd, select it, and there you go, ghost hunting. From 6 all the way down to, well, there's the reoccurring symbol there, arrows turning in on themselves. It's a never-ending hunt. Well, not till after 4 occurrences. And let's not forget, we're on the Friday. If we go to Saturday, then we have to scroll up to see it because it's Saturday morning from 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. Now, if at any time you want to make some changes to this, you can be in any view, like the day view or go back to the month view. And let me go ahead and scroll down just a little bit. And if you want to change, like instead of starting at 6 p.m., we want to be able to go later. Because really, I don't want to sit there until ghosts start haunting us at 11 p.m. So maybe we can go later at like 7 p.m. So all you have to do is go ahead and double click on any one of these. When you double click, it's going to give you the option to just edit this one or the entire series. So here's the entire series. Or we can just select this one here, the appointment from Friday night to Saturday morning. So if I do just this one, I click Okie dokie, it opens up and I'm like, you know what? That Friday, I'm not going to be able to make it until 8:30. So I can come up here, click on the start time drop down arrow and select 8:30. And then it wants to end Saturday to keep the 12-hour spread, 8:30 a.m. And if I'm like, well, I still got to be back in time for my kids when they get up for breakfast. So I'm going to cut that back to, again, 6 a.m. So instead of 12 hours, it's 9.5. And you can see it occurs every Friday, effective March the 23rd, April the 13th. And like we saw, let's go ahead and click Save and Close, then watch this. Cool, we broke the series here. We went out of step. So for this one weekend, we can start later at 8:30 p.m. without affecting all the others. Isn't that groovy? Now, if I do decide to go ahead and, well, double click on any one of these and say, you know what, I want it across the board where we can all start ghost hunting at, let's say, 7 p.m. So if I choose the entire series and click OK, then I want to come back up here and click on recurrence and change the time. And we can just go ahead and type it in there, 7. Then hit the tab key and it wants to go to 7 a.m. to keep the duration the same. But no. We gotta still be out of there and back to our own homes at 6 a.m. So it's 11 hours. And then click OK. And then it warns you if you change specific appointments in the series, your changes will be canceled and all those appointments will match the series again. So remember, we changed the third occurrence. We said it was going to be 8:30 p.m. Well, guess what? It's going to reset all of them. Once you pick on the entire series, it's going to make sure that everybody's in lockstep and bring back everybody to the same appointment time when it comes to updating your series. So if I click OK and I click Save and Close, we're out of step now, so I can't come later as I wanted to at 8:30 on April the 6th. Well, you can go ahead and double click on that and go back to just this one and then update it. But know that when you update the entire series, any customizations you made within the series, it'll revert and update it with the others. So we're all the same in that series. And then you get some options if you right click on it besides the quick print, the open. If you want to open the occurrence for the entire series, you can also delete this occurrence or all of them. So if I go ahead and delete this occurrence, there you go. Hey, if I can't come later, then nobody's going ghost hunting that night. And since I'm the only one with the infrared camera who knows how to work it, well, there you go. Can't have the meeting that week. I'm out of town. So you're probably asking yourself, well, if I go ahead and update the series, will it bring back what I just deleted? Double click. The entire series, OK. Click on recurrence, and let's go back maybe to, 6. And then hit the tab key, and then it wants to go to 5 a.m. Well, we'll also do 6 a.m. And then go ahead and click OK. Then click Save and Close, and it pulls it back in. So any customizations, including deleting an occurrence within the series, we'll just go ahead and reset everything back to the way it was. When it comes to scheduling an appointment from an email message, it's pretty simple. You just have to find it, and for me it's going to be apple picking. Right-click on it and go down to Move, and then over to Calendar. And if you don't see it up here in one of the most recent items, then just come down below and select Other Folder and select Calendar. So yes, it's going to take this email message and move it over into the calendar, which is going to be set up as an appointment. And it won't be an attachment. It'll just be the contents of the body of the message in the notes field in the appointment. And so if you're like me and you're thinking, wait a second, I really want my email message in the inbox, but I also like to schedule it, you can right-click on it again, and instead, well, you still have to go to Move, but instead of going down to another folder, you can actually copy to another folder. So technically speaking, you're moving a copy of this to the calendar folder to schedule an appointment. So click on Copy to Folder, select Calendar, click OK, and you can see up at the top that it's an appointment, and it brings over the subject, so that saved me some work, apple picking. And then down below, the contents, the body of the message in the notes field here. And then now I just have to pick the start and end dates and times. So let's go ahead and say for apple picking, let's do it on a Saturday morning, March the 24th. And Carrie likes to get up really early for apple picking for whatever reason. Boy, that's just not my thing. But in any case, let's go ahead and schedule it for 5 a.m. The moment I do that, look what happens. I have a note, an indicator, or information. It says it conflicts with another appointment. Well, what else are we doing Saturday morning that it conflicts with? Let's go back to the Outlook program here, or out of the appointment back to Outlook, and let's pull up the calendar. And Saturday the 24th, oh, there we go. We have ghost hunting. Because if you hover over it, remember, it ends at 6 a.m. And so, well, I guess we could be hunting ghosts out in the field if there are any. You know, have an apple, throw the core at the ghost. In any case, he'll be angry and chase you down. So that's not going to work. It conflicts. You can go ahead and find out the conflict this way, or let's go ahead and go back to our appointment. You can also come up here on the appointment tab in the actions group, and it's that button right there. Open your calendar to see if your meeting time works for you. When you click on it, opens it up. At that time, 5 a.m., but look, we got ghost hunting. Well, let me scroll up. You see the blue bar that's behind it that we're trying to schedule? It's underneath what we already have going on at that time from 12 a.m. Saturday morning to 5 a.m. So let's go back to our appointment and let's say, oh, that's fine. Click Save and Close, and we're double booked. So it does allow for double, triple, as many bookings as you want at the same time. It's just going to give you a warning. It's not going to prevent you from doing that because, hey, who knows? Maybe you can be in two places at once. Now, if I want to go ahead and edit this, of course, I can double click on it, open it back up. Still conflicts with another appointment. I could say, okay, that's fine. The moment we're done with ghost hunting, let's jump right into apple picking, which, hey, the place that we're going to has an apple orchard out in the back. So we get spooked, we run out there, grab some apples to feed the appetite that we build up by hunting all night. So let's go ahead and click on the drop down arrow and say right at 6 a.m. Now, if you notice back up here, it hasn't left, but it's updated that information bar that says it's right next to another appointment. That's a warning because can you really make it from the previous appointment at 6 a.m. to be at this appointment at 6 a.m.? You may want to give yourself a little bit of leeway to get out from the house into the apple orchard. So we'll do 6:01 a.m., hit the tab key, and it's happy because it figures at least you have a little bit of time, even though it's a minute. It's not back to back from ghost hunting to apple picking. So you want to keep an eye on that in case if you're not able to be in two places at the same time or not give yourself enough time to go from one appointment to the next. For a reminder, I'm good. Let's just go ahead and select none. Let's go ahead and click Save and Close. Let's go back to our view of the month. And there you go, 6:01, apple picking, just right after our ghost hunting appointment. Scheduling an event in Outlook is an all-day appointment. There's no time because it's all day long, and there's numerous ways you can schedule an event. One way we found out was just to come over here in the month view and click on a day that you want to schedule it, and then when the cursor is flashing in that day, just type in the name of the event, hit enter, and there you go. Solidifies. You can double click on it to open it up, and you can see it's an event because it's got the all-day event box checked. If you unchecked it, it's back to an appointment, so we want to check it so it's an all-day event, so there's no time because it's the entire day. And then you can add the location, add some notes down below, insert some pictures into the notes field. You got to click in the notes field so you can actually be able to activate the commands to insert pictures from your computer or online. Let's go ahead and close out, not save it. You can do it that way. Well, let's go ahead and right click on it and show you how to delete it. And you can also right click on it and go up to new all day event. That works. Of course, you can create a new appointment and again, check the box to mark it as an event. So let's just go right here, new all day event. And because I right clicked on the 21st, it's going to start and end on the 21st. So if I want it to be on another day, of course, you can click on the start date and choose another day. Like let's do Saturday, March the 31st. And there you go, Easter egg hunt, because hey, Easter's coming up, gotta have an egg hunt. And then it's going to be at Bagok Farms, and it's going to be the 31st, and I don't want a reminder here. Let's choose none. Click Save and Close, and you notice that, well, in my Outlook, it didn't give me the information bar that says it conflicts with another appointment, which is right here, ghost hunting. So you can double book, triple book as much as you want, but it is in conflict because on that day we got ghost hunting. But, you know, that's up to you. Outlook's not going to block you from scheduling from double booking or triple booking or more, because maybe you're not hosting the event. Maybe you don't have to be there all day. Maybe it's an all-day event that you choose to go to after you're done ghost hunting. So however you want to mark this, it's subjective. It's just that Outlook will, in its programming, let you know that it is conflicting with another appointment, but it didn't with mine. My Outlook program may have a bug in it. But in any case, you can always move it if you find out later on, like, oh, I got a conflict here. In fact, as you recall, let me double click to open it up. You can come up here on the Event tab in the Actions group and click on where it says Open your calendar to see if your meeting time works for you. Click on it, opens up the calendar, and you can see the Easter egg hunt, Bagok Farms. But if I scroll up, I got ghost hunting that day. So this brings up a good point. In the day view, notice how the event is labeled up at the top, not during any time. It's above the time. That starts at 12 a.m. for that day because it's the entire day. That's why the name of the event is not listed down below as is ghost hunting during a certain period of time, like from 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. So there you go. And then we can come back down here, click on it, and say, okay, we can go ahead and change it in here, or let's do save and close and go back to our month view. And it's right there. We can go ahead and click and drag it and move it. How about the Easter egg hunt, an all-day event on the 28th? Maybe it's spring recess and kids are out of school. So maybe it's more than just one day. Maybe it's a 2-day event. So you can go ahead and select it, and you can see those little resizing handles on the left and right-hand side, those teeny tiny boxes that when you hover over it, you get arrows pointing in opposite directions. You can click and drag out, and oh, there you go. I mean, maybe they have over 5,000 chickens. That's a lot of eggs to hunt. So we could have it a 2-day event. And of course, you can even click and drag this and move it around the 2-day event. And with it selected here, you get its related contextual appointment tab. For the options, you can set the reminder. You can also show it as, well, maybe it's tentative. Maybe you're not going to be able to make it, or maybe the event that you're setting up, you're not sure if you're going to be able to do it. Let me click off, and you can see these lines here. That's to let you know what you have selected up above is you're not sure about. Maybe it's going to be rainy weather and you can't do it outdoors. It's got to be indoors. You can also click on the drop down arrow and say that you're busy or out of office. And if you choose out of office, you can see the color right there is representative of the same color here. And let's see what it looks like in our, let's go to the Home tab, our week view of the 20th. And you can see it's got the same color here, the shading. So you're out of office during that 2-day event, as well as, let's come up here, click, well, you can click on the View tab. It's also available on the Home tab, the arrangement of how you want to view it. So the Home tab and the arrangement here, you can view it on the day, and you can see it's all shaded, meaning that you can look up here for the key out of office. And down below, you can see that it's pointing over to March the 21st. So if I go ahead and go to the 21st, it continues on, and it says it's coming from or beginning March the 20th. Let's go ahead and go back to the month view, and we'll select it. Then we'll hover over it and crunch it back to being a 1-day event. Just as we learn how to color categorize our email messages and contacts, you can also do it for appointments and events. And then after I go over the basics, I want to show you a different view that you can go to view these appointments that have a color category assigned to it by groups. So all the categories with the orange assigned to it in one group, the reds, the blues, the purples, as well as those that are active, or in other words, those that are up and coming. So let's go ahead and assign a color category to like this event here, select it, which is one way, selecting it here in the month and coming up here to its related contextual appointment tab, going to the tags group, and then clicking on categorize. Now you don't get these fancy names here. You get the generic like red category for the red color. But as you recall in those earlier training videos on color categorization for the email messages and contacts, that when you click on it, it's going to open up a window and says, okay, this is the first time. You don't have to go with the default color or the generic name. You can change the color and type in a new name. Or you can come down here and click on all categories and select like ghost hunting. If you want to change that, click on rename. And we'll call it Ghost Hunt. Hit enter, and you can choose a different color, like, let's see, what's this? Dark purple. Ooh, that's spooky. Select that one. And you can also delete it if you no longer need it. You can also create a new one and type in a name, choose another color, click OK. Of course, you got the option to add a shortcut key to it. There you go. but you don't want it to be the same one as the other one up above. If you do select that one, then it will overwrite and remove this one and apply it to the new category. Let me click cancel, click OK. So, well, here we go. We can come up here and click on categorize and choose Easter egg hunt. That's a happy event. Select it and it's in yellow. Oh, that's an Easter color. That's fun. And our company potluck party, that was a happy event. Right click as another way to go ahead and assign it a color category. Go down to categorize and happy events. And then Mr. Humphreys, we can double click. If you have it open, then you can come up here on the appointment tab to the tags group, same group. And there you go, categorize. Maybe it was spooky, this lunch with Mr. Humphreys. Go ahead and select it. Or maybe we talked about spooky things. Then click save and close, get more color to our calendar here. And let's see, ghost hunting. So remember, this is a recurring appointment that has 4 occurrences. Let me go ahead and scroll down, 1, 2, 3, 4, as you recall in an earlier training video. And so if I right click on one, and I go down to categorize and it's ghost hunt, left click, it updates all the appointments in that series. And then let's see, lunch with Carrie, that was happy, right click, go to categorize, happy events. Okay, I got enough here to go off of to show you this other view, how you can go ahead and group these by categories, by these colors here. So come up here, click on the view tab, go to the current view, click on change view, there's the default calendar, and we can go to list. Now down below, if they're not being grouped by categories, then come up here to the arrangement group and select categories. And you can see we've got 5 that aren't grouped. I have 1 ghost hunt item, that's ghost hunting. Then I have 3 happy events, so it's grouping them by color, Fabu. And then what's this one, spooky? Oh, that's lunch with Mr. Humphreys, okay. Now, if you want to come up and double click on one to assign it the category, that's fine, but over here, you can see when you hover over it, it says click to toggle, quick click category, or you can right click for options. So if I click on apple picking, notice how it automatically assigns it the red category. Well, that's not the apple picking category, and so the quick click isn't working for me, so instead I can right click on it and change that to apple picking. So it moves it up and it's the only one in its category. And what's interesting is that it's still in the red category. Why? Let's go ahead and find out. If you right click on it, you can see the red is highlighted as well as the apples. So I didn't deselect it, I just added another category to it. So if I deselect red category, it'll remove it. I can clear all categories, but let's just deselect red category so it moves it out of there and I just have it in one category, apple picking. Now today's date is March the 6th. And so I only have one that's in the past, I think. Well, to find out, we can just come up here on the View tab, go to the current view group, click on Change View, and there you go, active, select it. And okay, well, active is all the up and coming holidays that I haven't hit yet. Oh, look at that, that's fun. And it changed the arrangement. Instead of by categories, it's by start date. So let me come back up here and select categories. And then there's all the holidays now grouped by that. So let me collapse that. Don't want to focus on that. And then everything I see here is up and coming. I don't see the potluck. Do you? No. So those are all the ones that I have yet to come to. Events and appointments. And then to go back to the default calendar view, again, View tab, current view, change view, back to calendar. Thanks for watching. Hey, as a quick reminder, if you like my video, please give it a thumbs up. You can also click on me and subscribe to my channel to get notified of the latest videos. And for great specials on my products, please see the description below this video.